things besides what I had planned. So welcome to my art room. My name's Patricia, and I have been making art for as long as I can remember. And it's and then we get to my favorite coffee dyed papers. Now, if you don't like coffee, you can use tea. I just like to take instant coffee, water, mix it with some water, and I just like to brush it onto things like this is a calendar from Hobby Lobby. I just brush the coffee on it, let it dry. I've used, graph pages. I've used old notebooks. You can make it as dark or as light as you want. Like I said, the music sheets, old books in different languages. I mean, I find the lettering to be just beautiful. I have no problem with books that people can't read and are going to go to the trash. So someone is texting me. Is it important? Hold on. Might be something about tonight's show. Nope. Okay. So that's it with the paper. Also, maybe some Sharpies or little gold, black, silver, white gel pens are helpful. Maybe some color gel pens that kind of match the papers you're using. And that's pretty much all I use tonight. I do have a paper slicer to make things easier to cut. I do have some craft punches and some ink and some daubers. We'll talk about that later. So I think that is all of the supplies. If there's anything I forgot, feel free to put a chat in there. I'm going to look over my list real quick. Okay. So before we get started, we made sure that we have all of our materials. Now, when I'm doing this tutorial, I will have the camera aimed down. So all you will be able to see are my hands. I still can see the comments though, and I still have my phone on. So if you have a problem or a suggestion, feel free to type it in the chat or text me and I will address that immediately. So I'm going to pull this down. You're going to see just my hands for quite a while. I will go through every step slowly. I have them typed out so as not to forget any. And if I do forget any, forgive me. Here we go. Let's make some cards. All right. So those are my parameters. Sorry if there's a little bit of a shadow, and I know the sun is setting behind me. So someone says hi. Oh, hi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is our trial run, and it's a little crazy, but we're loving it. All right. So first, what we're going to do is we need to decide for our cards. Let me get this out of the way. What do we want to have in the front? Do we want to have pattern paper on the front, or do we want colored paper? So regardless of what paper you use, you have to cut it down to size. Now, this is called an A6 card, and all that means is it's 5.5 by 4 1/4. You do not want to cut your papers 5.5 by 4 1/4 because you want to leave a little ridge around the edge. I'll show you in here. You want to leave a little border, okay? So we're going to cut our papers. You might want to write this down. We're going to cut our papers. I have it right here. Hold on. Let me double check. Oh, 4 by 5 1/4. And your orientation of your card can be, horizontal this way, or you can have your paper this way, vertical. It all depends on sometimes the pattern that's on your paper or just how you like to put your stamps, because this is a rather big stamp. So it fits better going horizontal, which means the laying down position, over vertical, which means the standing up position. Okay. So I'm going to leave this here. Hopefully not upside down. We're learning how to, there we go. We'll leave that there. And I went ahead and I used up my paper trimmer and I cut down a handful of papers already. Now, if you don't have a paper trimmer, I'll show you. Or if you don't even have cards, you can always take a piece of cardstock, 8.5 by 11, and you can cut it down the middle and fold it in half. I don't know if you can see that. So that's if you need a card base. You can also cut these down to be fronts for your cards. Okay. Hope that's not too distracting or too much information. So I cut down some pink. I cut down some, I love that mint color, some periwinkle. And then I have some cards that have this design on them. I think that's upside down. It's hard for me to tell. Have this design. So this is pretty, but you're going to have a hard time getting any other things added to it, like sentiments or butterflies or flowers or anything. Maybe this with the word over here might work, but I think I'm going to save this for another project. So I'll put that over there. This one's pretty and it can go in any direction. So I'm just going to start with this. So go ahead while I'm chatting and making my little piles. Go ahead and take your paper. I will show you where, oh, it's right here on the floor, excuse me. Take your paper. If you have a paper slicer, I'll show you how to cut it. You're going to pull out your 12 by 12. Some papers are 8 by 8. Some are 6 by 6. Whatever you have works. Don't stress it. Don't sweat it. All right. So here's the paper slicer. And I don't know where I got this. They sell them everywhere. So, and they're not at all that expensive. So I want to cut this naturally 4 by 5.5. But since I have a 12 by 12, I might as well see how many pieces I can get out of it as once, because I will be making more cards. So if we have 5.5 or 5.25 for our card width, and we want to cut this down evenly, we're going to take 5.25 plus 5.25, because this is 12 across, and I know I'm going to have 10.5 inches. So I'm going to drag this over to 10.5. I'm going to line it up and I'm going to slice this piece off. Now, theoretically, if I did this correctly, I'm going to turn my paper this way and I should be able to go 4 by 4 by 4, and it's already cut up and ready to go. Let me see if I'm doing this right. And if not, guess what? No, wait, I did that wrong. Wait, hold on. No, I think that'll work. Wait, hold on. This is all learning experience, everyone. Okay, so if it's 10.5, okay, cool. Then I go ahead and I do 5.25. That makes sense. There we go, 5.25. I bet one of you was correcting me out there. They're saying, "Hey, Patricia, wake up, girl. You're cutting it wrong." All right, here we go. All right, now we have 4, and 12 divided by 4 is, you guessed it, 3. So far I have these 3, and I'm going to flip this around, and I'm going to get 3 more. So you should get 6 and have a little piece of paper left over. Don't throw that paper out. You can definitely use it. I'll show you later what you can use it in, what kind of projects. But that's a nice size piece of paper, and it's pretty. So I've got a little pile over here. Okay. Are you all understanding how to cut the papers? If you don't have one of these slicers, go ahead and use a ruler and just measure this across the top of your paper, 10.5. Draw the line, cut it down, and then do 5.25, and then flip 4, 4, 4, 4. I hope that makes sense. Yes, there's also, like I said, I have 8 by 8 pads of paper, 6 by 6 pads of paper. They come in so many different sizes. You could do plain cardstock that comes, even from like Walmart or whatnot, and cut those down and have strips left over. So, all right, so for right now, we have our cards cut, our card tops. I'm going to call them card tops because this is the card and this is the top. Okay. All right. We'll see if everyone has their cards cut down. Okay. Now I'm going to let these take a little break over here. They're going to wait because we don't need them right yet. So what I like to do next is I like to stamp my words or my sentiments. Now, you are more than welcome to use any kind of inks that you have. For some odd reason, whenever I go to stamp with either of these inks, I mean, they work really well for some things, but for some reason, I can't get them to stamp dark enough for what I like, for my purposes. So I like my ink to be very, very bold. So you might not be ready for this, but I'm going to teach you something new. I like to use acrylic paint, just plain black acrylic paint. And I have something here you might have heard me talk about before. This is a jelly plate. It's for printmaking. As you can see, this one has been well loved and well used. I use it specifically now just for stamping on. I do have a nice new shiny bright one that isn't hundreds of years old and hundreds of layers loved of paint. But yeah, so this is easy to roll the paint on, ink up your stamps, and then wash off right when you're done using. So what I like to do, I'm going to roll up my sleeves here, and I'll show you, is I just got some cheap 50-cent black acrylic paint. And oh, before I start painting, let me show you what I'm talking about. This is what I did earlier today. I know there's a shadow. I apologize. Technical difficulties here. This is what I stamped earlier, and you can tell how very dark and bold these sentiments are because I used the paint instead of just the stamp pads. Your stamp pads might be better than mine, brand new. I don't know. Some work better than others, but I never have any problems when I use the ink. So I'm always going to stick with the ink, even with my images. Like for example, this will be a lesson in the future. But even when I make my fun coffee papers for projects, I love using the black acrylic paint. It's so bold. It catches all the details of everything really well. So that's what we're going to be using today. I guess you could use a different color, but for me, I feel safe using black because it doesn't clash with anything. I don't want to go do a bunch of purple stamping and then, my green paper doesn't go well. I don't know, maybe green and purple would go well. Well, I'm not going to try that today, so you let me know if that works for you. All right, so we're going to stamp a few words. Let's get this going here. A little bit of what stamps are you using? Do you have acrylic block stamps or what? I have a couple, let's see, in my little cup here. And this stamp block, I have this one. I like this because when you go to stamp, it gives you plenty of room for your fingers, so your fingers aren't getting into the ink. These, they were cheap and they're really thin. So as you can see, when I go to stamp with it, I'm going to get my fingers like in there and I'm going to get the paint all over my fingers. So it's not the best choice, but if that's all you got, you can make it work. I have some of these fun sentiments. I think I got these in Ohio. I get most of my awesome stuff in Ohio. I like all these words, so I'll probably pick a couple of these. And also, you could do is you can even write a word out with your alphabet stamps. So the sky's the limit with that. I love this font. I got these in Ohio as well. I couldn't tell you where though. Probably Ollie's or something silly where we always go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this nice acrylic block. And by the way, for future reference, I use these until sometimes I can't even see them because I don't always clean my stuff off right when I should, which I should. I should do a lot of things in my life, but I did find that you can just use your nail polish remover and it comes right off. So if you aren't, cleaning them as you go, don't worry, you can still save them. But for tonight, I do have a pack of wipes next to me and a little hand towel. So whenever I stamp my word, when I'm done stamping it, I immediately clean it off because that paint will layer on your stamps and make them very it's going to lose its crispness. Need to know. Nice. Oh, yeah, easier to keep it. Yeah. Yeah, the paint this paint lasts forever. So, and it's only 50 cents. And stamping pads can be like $10. And maybe if the lid doesn't go in all the way or I don't know, it dries out and it's sad. I hate when stuff like that happens. So, how about today I'm going to choose the word. What do we think? How about blessed? Let's do blessed. I'm feeling blessed that I get to sit here and make art with you. So I took the this is an acrylic stamp. It sticks to your stamp block. And there's a trick. If they lose their stickiness, I don't know where I learned this like 100 years ago. You can use a little bit of like chapstick and put it on your block and then put the stamp on and it holds it on there. You could also use a little bit of glue stick, but that's going to get really gooey. So chapstick works, but these are still brand new and this is clean. So this will be great. So I'll leave this here for now. I'm actually going to move these out of the way a little bit because you never know, paint may fly. I've been known to get paint everywhere and on everything. So let's not harm these people. Our little friends here. All right, let's move these out of the way. I know when you're trying to do all the steps at once, you get a fun little pile of papers and stickers and everything. And I am not complaining. Trust me. All right. I'm just going to put a little dot on and I'm going to use, see, paint everywhere. And I'm good. So this is a brayer. You can get them thin. I have a wider one behind me on my other desk. These are what you can use on your jelly plates for inking up. So we're going to do this. We're inking up for our stamps. Do I need to spread the paint over the entire plate? This is what I ask my students. No, Mrs. Parent, we don't need to do that because then all we end up doing is wasting paint. All we want to do is spread it out enough to it's thin enough that we can use it without getting globs of paint on our stamp. So I can show you what to do and what not to do. So when I was in printmaking, my professor would say, when the ink sounds like you're peeling an orange, it's ready, which is a funny thing to say. But this, I think I put a little bit too much down. So maybe it's a little heavy-handed. It's almost sounding like an orange. Probably hard for you guys to hear. I'll put this off to the side. You can roll this on another page to get the ink off. I'll do that later. And it's fun to go back and use those papers for something else. But for now, he's going to live there. Okay. Now I have to decide. What am I going to stamp on? If you know me, you're screaming, she's going to stamp on the coffee paper. And yes, you're right. Happy little spatter, exactly. So I'm going to lean over here and I'm going to pick. Oh, wait, did I already? I think I already stamped on it all. Well, here we go. I already stamped on most of my coffee paper. So you know what I will do next is I will stamp on top of. Dun, 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 dun. Where is it? Here we go. I happen to have right next to me some thick cream-colored cardstock, which, oh, it's beautiful. Listen to that. That's good quality stuff right there. Okay. Make room for everybody. Excuse me. Pardon me. Coming through. Here we go. Okay. So this is all inked up. It's nice and thin. It shouldn't be too thick. Like I said, you don't want to get so much paint up in your stamp that it doesn't come out clear. And I'm very, very lightly, like I tell the students, like on ballerina tippy toes. Tap, tap, tap. Don't smush your whole hand down. On your ink pad, yes. Go for it. On this, no. Just tap, tap, tap. Take a look. Does it look pretty even? Yes. Now, there's a little bit of ink right here on the edge. I think I'll be okay. I'm just going to go careful. I'm going to go to the edge of the paper. Don't push it around because you'll get a blurry image. Oh my goodness, perfect. Look at that, friends. Perfect. High five. Okay, and I'll do a couple more. So what words have you chosen? Do you have a favorite stamp or stamp sets? I have quite a few words. I have quite a few scripture verses. I really think it's fun to make up your own word. Oh, I have some over there that say like, you're pretty awesome or count the happies. But for today, I'm just going to have fun pressing this one. Now you're probably wondering why I space them out so much. And I'll tell you. Because when I go to use these, I'm going to be tearing them out of the paper and not cutting. So I want to give myself a lot of wiggle room. But yes, if you stamp them closer together, it's going to be hard to tear and you're most definitely going to have to use your scissors. And I'm a big fan of tearing and not using scissors. So it all depends on what you like to do. I like the rough, uneven edges of the torn papers over the cut ones. Okay. So now stamp a few sentiments. I'm wondering if I should stamp another. While I'm waiting and deciding, I'm going to get a wipe here. Not affiliated with anything, just using what I have. And I'm going to wash this guy off and put him back because that's what responsible grown-ups do. They put their supplies away when they're done using them. So I'm going to try to be a responsible adult and put this letter back here. This word, I mean. And maybe I'll pick one more because you can never have too many stamp papers. If I don't use them all today, you know what? They're going to be there for a later date. There's always room for more. Okay. How about, what do we think? How about, I don't know. How about choose happy? Why not? We can choose to be happy, right? Today I choose to be happy. I'm going to line this guy. But also, you might notice on this, it might be hard to see, is there's a grid so you can line up your stamp so it's straight. At the end of the day, if it stamps a little crooked, you know, I'm sure you can work around that. But for now, that's a little tip. Now, because the ink's been sitting here for a minute, I don't know if it's gone too dry, so I'm going to give it a little, oh, there's the orange peel. I don't know if you can hear it or see it, but that's what it's like, that little shiny orange peel consistency. I'm going to tap it lightly like a ballerina on her tippy toes. Then I'm going to move over to the other side of my paper because I don't want to get too close. Now, if you can look and see, it's losing a little bit of its ink there. So you know what? Don't be discouraged. It's okay. Not every stamp is going to be perfect. Just go back and give a little bit more ink. And like I said, if you over ink your plate, this paint costs 50 cents. So it's not like you're breaking the bank to stamp a couple words. So let's do this again. Tip, tip, tippy tap. Like a dog doing his tippy taps when it's time to eat, huh? Uh-oh, I'm not pushing hard enough on that one letter. Oh, you know what? There's a crease in the table. That's why. Right down the middle of the table. I think I was on the crease. Let's see if that was it. Yay, I did it. Okay, one more. And I think I'll retire my stamps for the night. There we go. I can live with those. Perfect. Now I'm going to put these over here to dry for a second because I don't want to drag any other important card making elements into that pile there. So thank you for joining. I'm loving teaching. I hope you're learning something new. And for those of you who aren't able to comment now, please comment later. Maybe your favorite part or something you want to learn more about. I will definitely read those comments and get back to you. Okay, so for now, I'm going to retire this guy. And I don't know about you, but I have this under my desk. It's called my Jelly Plate Runoffs, which I know it looks so fancy, right? It's just an old composition book. But this is like where I have paint on my brayer and I just want to roll it off. And yeah, so what? That's not that pretty, but it is. There's just something about it. So nothing gets wasted. And I'm going to flip to my next page. Look how cool that is. I mean, seriously. Yummy. I'm going to flip to my next page. And then I'm going to see what I can get off this brayer. And then later on, I'll just rinse that jelly plate off. If you don't have a jelly plate, I'm sorry that I didn't mention this. You can very well use like a flat glass plate or a baking dish or a paper plate. Oh, look at it. It's taking off most ink. So that's awesome. One less thing to clean. Look at that. You know what? I'm feeling crazy. I'm just going to put this guy right here and see what happens. Smush him down a little bit. There we go. Look, almost clean. So I'm going to put this on the table behind me so we don't get paint on everything. I'm going to put this guy back down here. I have so many jelly plate runoffs, so many beautiful colors. I use them in so much of my art. I'm going to take a second here and wipe my fingers off. If you don't have baby wipes or a wet towel next to you, you might want to get one because when we get to gluing, that glue stick really gets into your fingers and your fingers start to pick up all the little dirts and this and that on the table. And yeah, it's probably a good idea to keep them something wet that you can wipe them off on. All right, here we go. Putting this guy back. And let's see where we are in our creating. All right. We stamped the words. We cleaned the stamps. We talked about our papers that we like to use. Okay. Now that those are drying, it's time that we can start bringing in the card fronts and doing some little fashion shows with the papers that we have. So for example, so our stamps are drying. So this guy right here, he's drying. He might be dry already. That's great. Just let him sit there for a second. Next, we're going to come in and we're going to look at these papers right here. These papers that are, I'm going to call them the supporting actors. They really add, like this is kind of like the main event and these are like the supporting actors or however you want to describe them. But that's what we're going to work on next. So we're going to pull out a card front and then we're going to pull out different papers and push them around and see which ones we like that match. And then we're going to tear out or cut our sentiments. And before we glue anything down, I'm going to teach you a couple more moves, okay, in this whole card making process. So I'm going to go ahead and get out. I really like this teal. Well, it's not really teal. It's like a slate blue. It's hard to tell. But I like this color. I do like all these colors. I don't know which ones to pick. Do you have a favorite color or a favorite type of paper that you like to make cards with? I find that the more papers I discover, the more I discover I love making cards. There's so much out there. And nothing is ever wasted. If you don't use this now, it'll get used someday. It might not be turned into a card, but it will be turned into something. And I have so many scraps that have been lovingly rejuvenated into new projects. So, and if you don't start off with a lot, that's okay. I can teach you how to make your own papers. That can be another whole lesson, is how to paint some papers and add some backgrounds, so you don't have to buy scrapbook papers. You can really, really, really use what you have at home to make really successful art. So don't ever be discouraged thinking, you don't have enough or you don't have the right stuff. Everything you have is the right stuff. So be encouraged. Be optimistic. Okay, here we go. So like I said, you can always use different colored cards. I have a hard time sometimes just trying to get them to match. So I never fail with the craft color, the brown craft paper color, and I never fail with the cream color. Everything else, yes, I've made. This one I've shown you. Yes, I used the green. It came out really well. But for right now, for today's purposes, I'm just going to use the cream color. So these are going to go take a break over here. And I will pull out my cards. Where did I put my cards? I moved them so I wouldn't get paint. Here they are. I moved them so I wouldn't get paint on them, and I just totally lost them all together. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, hope you guys are all keeping up with me, is I'm just going to take a few cards. I don't know how many you have. Oh, I'll also make sure when you go to make your cards, I've made this mistake so many times. Make sure that it's facing like the open way, like a book, like this, or like this, like a desktop, like those old writing desks, right? So open like a book or a desktop. Don't glue them on backwards, because then your card will be backwards. And yes, I've done that before. So I'll make sure these are all going the right way. I'm just going to do maybe 3. I think I'll do 3. 3 is a good number. I like odd numbers. Anybody else like odd numbers better than even numbers? I don't know why. It's just a thing, but I do. All right. And I do love, I'm just going to stick with this color. Look at that. Perfect. When you get your cards and you get your papers cut, it's such a good feeling when they line up, when you put them on there and one's not crooked. And you know what? Who cares if it is? Life's too short to worry about a crooked piece of paper, right? No need to obsess. And this one I kind of like. It's got some writing on it, so I have to make sure I face it the right direction. See a couple words up in the corner? Those are little things you kind of need to pay attention to. So this one's going to be facing this way. He's going to be hamburger, and these guys are going to be hot dog, like vertical and horizontal, right? That's what you tell the kids. Hot dogs, hamburgers, or vice versa. Whatever. Why do I always think about food? Oh my goodness, I love food. I'm just kidding. All right, so that was the next step. I'm going to put these over here because I'm done with those. And then I will move on to the other papers. Now, we have our cards, our card toppers. Now we need the little supporting actors to come in and help tie this all together. I went ahead, and I don't know what kind of papers you have. Maybe you just have your scrapbook papers and you don't have any book pages. But I tore up a handful of, let's see, coffee paper pages, some book pages, just random papers I had sitting here. I really love the ones that I coffee dye myself. I did something about them. They're just so cute. And usually I have at least 2 on my 2 strips per each card, and then my sentiment. So in here, you can see I had, here's a strip and here's a strip. And then there's the sentiment. And then I added the butterflies and the other flowers later on. So I should just leave this one here so you can see what I'm talking about. We'll leave you there. I hope it's up. Yeah, it's right side up. Okay, cool. Yay. This whole right side up, upside down thing. I will figure it out. We will get there. So this one I did some, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. If I like how this looks, I got this little template going on. I call it like a little collage template. I'm going to leave this. I'm going to build on this. So I like the collage paper or the coffee paper. I like the Chinese book page, and I like the sentiment. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to look at my pile, and I'm going to see, oh, cool. Yeah, look, I have some of that paper. It's very similar. And which one would it look good on? You know what? Maybe it would look good on this one. Cool. I like it on this one. So I'm going to make sure I turn this the right way. So that one's going to live there. Hope you can see that. That one's going to live there. And then maybe, do I want to do the Chinese writing one? I don't know. Oh, let me show you how to tear them. There's a way to tear these. Now, if you don't like to tear, okay, let me get the other way. If you don't like to tear paper, feel free to use scissors. If you are uncomfortable tearing paper with just your hands like this, you can use a ruler. So let me show you what I like to do. When you tear a piece of paper, I'm going to hold my thumb here. I'm going to pull towards me, and I'm going to go really slow, and I'm just going to follow my thumb down. I don't know if you can see that. In most book pages, they have like the way the grain is going. It's very easy to pull it towards you slowly and get a good tear. Sometimes it's a little bit more obstinate, and you got to kind of tell it who's boss and make it work for you. Okay. I don't know if you can see this because there's a shadow, but whenever you tear it towards you, you get a really cool kind of white edge to it. And I really like that. It adds a little bit more character. After we tear it this way, we're going to hold our thumb down again, and we're going to tear towards us nice and slow. And here's a little scrap. Now, you can throw this out or you can keep it. And I will show you why you should keep it in a second. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to tear another piece. Now, it's okay to start off tearing them a little bit bigger because we can always tear them shorter later, if that makes sense. Don't make them too short now, because then you're going to really be, taking a step backwards and having to do it again. All right, so I have a couple of these. I like those a lot. If you do not like tearing with just your fingers, you might have already guessed you can use a ruler. And you're saying, Patricia, how can I use a ruler to tear paper? It's really, 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 really easy. Hopefully it's easy now that I promised that it was. Okay, here we go. So what I do is I line up my ruler with the tip of my paper. And I like to do this first. I like to kind of push the paper on the edge to get it a good start. And then I just hold down and tear as close to the ruler as I can. Now you'll see you have kind of a rough edge, but it's not too rough. But you didn't have to cut it. If you like to cut it, go ahead and cut it. Don't get too thick. I mean, if you get too thick, it's okay, because then you can make it thinner later. If you start off too thin, well, then it's too thin, and you'll have to think of another purpose for it. And then maybe I want it this tall. Boop, just like that. I like to tear off all of the straight edges because the rough edges all together somehow make the card sing. It's some kind of secret ingredient to our card making recipe there. So there you go. There's that. And there's that. I love these little pieces. I don't know why. Little tidbits. So we've got a few tidbits that were torn with a ruler. Did that make sense? Was that a little bit easier? There's also, if you have a serrated, like a serrated knife, you can take a ruler and you can make the edges, take like a file and make the edges sharp, and that'll tear paper. And the other day I was playing around and I discovered this. I found this ruler, and see this bumpy edge? You can tear your paper over the bumpy edge. I will show you. All right, all you little pieces of paper. Now we're going to have paper everywhere. All right. Okay, now let me get another piece of paper. I'm going to get a thinner piece just because. Ooh, look at this one. Coffee dyed paper. I used a placemat and I sprayed coffee, and I got the really funky design, right? Pretty cool. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the ruler down, but this one you have to hold fairly steady if you want it to have those bumpy edges. I'll show you in a second. It's pretty cool. So I'm just holding this and working my way down. And looky. I don't know if you can see at the ridged edges. Let's see. Right here. See them? Pretty cool, huh? If I put it up against a piece of paper, you'll be able to see them better. Oh, it's very shadowy. We'll figure this out. Yeah, so you can have it ridged like that. But once you do it one way, of course, you got to turn the ruler around and do it on the other side, or it's not going to make a whole lot of sense, right? You can do it however you want, but that's just, if I'm going to use this one piece and I want it to be bumpy on both sides, there you go. And I'll tear this guy down on the top, and I'll tear him down here, and I'll add him to my pile. So right now we are going from stamping our cards, our sentiments, to arranging our card toppers. And now we're going to tearing papers. They're going to be like the supporting actors. And I mentioned the scraps. Let me clear up some of this stuff here so we can get moving here. I mentioned the scraps for a reason. There are quite a few videos that I plan on making and some that I've already made using leftover paper scraps. I've saved all my scraps through the years, and I have different bags, like 12 by 12 Ziploc baggies of different colors. So all the warm colors and the cool colors and stripes and patterns. But my favorite basket of scrap papers, I'm gonna share this with you. I covet this and I love it. This is all of my paper. I mean, I have more than this, but this is just a little glimpse of the coffee dyed papers that I've used, the brown paper bags that I've stamped on. I came up with this really awesome method of stamping a bunch of images at once. I have 5 different sets that I've created. I didn't create the images, but I created the pattern. I have 5 different sets that I'm working on. And what I do with all these scraps, you're probably wondering, oh my goodness, I will show you. I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but I think it adds to, like, I'm showing the support of why you could save those scraps. You can make something called a master board, where you take a piece of scrapbook paper and you glue your scraps all over it. And this side was coffee dyed. How beautiful is that for the cover of a journal or a scrapbook or a card? You can make this into a card. And everything on here I stamped and dyed and painted. I made this gold stamp, the spiral. That's also going to be another video we're going to do, but not today. Another thing is I made a master board. This is one of my favorites. I made a master board. I even dyed, I had dyed coloring book pages, right? And I glued them all down and I stamped on them. And then I figured out how to do this. I made a clear window with this beautiful flower that I put in between. So when you open it, you have this gorgeous window. And my latest addiction, baby little junk journals, meaning these are paper scraps that would have gone in the trash. But look at how beautiful they are. Look at that. In a tiny little book. And so what? You might ask, why do we make these? Why not? Why do we make anything? Because it brings us joy, right? Also to bless others. You know, you can make these for a friend. And it takes little to no time. You just take your scraps, put them together, staple them. You know, I even put a little word on there, it says strong. There you go. So that's one reason we can save our scraps. Okay, where were we? We've torn our papers. Okay, now let us build. We're building. Here we go. If I build it, they will come, right? Okay. Let's work on this card. I'm going to focus on one at a time. We've got 35 minutes left, so I think I need to pick up the pace. I can always add more to this later. So I'm just going to work on this guy. He's going to be sideways like this. And I think I like the papers I had to begin with. Nope, I'm going to go with this dark paper. I kind of like that dark paper. I'm going to put him there. I'm going to go a little bit quicker, only because time is getting away from me, because I sure like to talk. I do like layering. I don't know how I feel about these colors right now. I'm probably going to switch this guy out because he's too dark. All right, so maybe something like that. Like I said, make sure the top is also... This one might be too skinny, but we'll give it a try. We'll give him a try. Here's that. And I might as well tear this down a little bit. I think I like that. Now, so far so good, right? Now I just need to... Oh, if this is too far away from me, you can zoom your screen in. I need the computer there so I can see my hands and everything. But okay, so there's that. Now we need to pick a sentiment, and I've torn some up from earlier. And I'm glad I did that to save us a couple minutes. But I have all of these from another project, and that one seems a little too small. So go ahead, and once you have your papers where you like them, you can start tearing up your words. Maybe you've already torn them up while you were... Well, that's kind of nice. It's kind of big, though. That might work. I like the thinking of you for some reason. That's kind of sweet. And it looks dark now, but once we start adding everything else, it'll lighten up. Okay. So I like where these are. So what I'm going to do, and you don't have to do this, is I love to ink the edges. Inking the edges means that I take my brown distress ink and an ink dauber, and I just go around the edge. I'm trying to make this is the only thing we can see right now. And this is what I have. And this is the ink right here. If you don't have these, that's okay. If you only have ink or even like a brown marker, you can just drag your sentiment along the stamp pad and you'll get a little bit of that distress look. See? I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of dark. So what I do is I put my dauber and I kind of smush it around, get some ink on this. You can get these anywhere. Any craft store, Amazon's fine. And I just go like that and I get a little on the edges. It kind of knocks it back a little bit and gives it some more, it makes it more dynamic. And I'm going to do the same thing with these book pages. See the difference with and without? And I go all the way around. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but I don't have anywhere to be. Do that. I'll do this one. And you guessed it, we're also going to go around the card topper. You don't have to, yeah, the fun craft scissors. I have some fun craft scissors. I haven't used those in a long time. Actually, I might have. You know I have some right here. Hold on. I have a fun scissor drawer. If you don't have a ruler and you want to make things wavy, you can use some fun scissors. I have like a bunch of these in the drawer. So you can always cut around your paper with these or your sentiment. You can cut around, sorry for the tangent, but you can even cut the edge of your card topper to give it a little design. That would be fun. Maybe I'll do that for my next card. Thanks for the suggestion. All right, so now that I've got my pieces, I don't want to lose them, so I'll put them right here. All these other ones can go off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink at the edge of this guy. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you one more tip before we glue anything down. All right. Do we have all the edges? Okay, let's see what it looks like. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. So as you can see, we have the brown kind of adds a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, it makes it look better. And then we have, who goes first? This guy, then this guy, like this. I like to start higher than lower. And then this is kind of in the middle. Now, it's not directly in the middle because when things are directly in the middle, they're boring. When things are asymmetrical, your eye kind of tends to go around your composition. So consider this a composition just as important as any other composition you might have seen in a painting or in a photograph. Consider it a mini work of art, okay? Because that's what it is. It's a mini work of art. Just because it's smaller and it's a card does not mean it's not a work of art, right? Right. So I'm going to leave that there. Now, I'm going to look at my other card and see, did I do anything fun? Oh, yes, I did. I made, if you don't have stencils, I made a stencil out of what? Can you guess? I can't see. Yes, I used a hole puncher. So all I did was take a piece of scrap, and my hole puncher is somewhere over here in my pile of tools. Of course, I can't see it. I guess I don't need to show you what a hole puncher looks like. Anyways, the little hole puncher, beep, 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 like that. I hole punch those. And then what I want to do now is I want to give this a little bit more, I don't know. I want to make it more dynamic. So I'm going to lay my stencil down on top and very lightly just kind of brush over. And I added some dots. And then maybe to bring it all together, I can do some kind of like crooked over here. And then maybe a couple up top. You can do this. I have other little stencils rolling around like flowers and just like little, you know, designs. Can't think of what they are in particular right now, but they're not next to me. Ooh, I kind of like that. What do you think? Ta-da. All right, so I'm feeling confident in this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue it down. So the first thing I'm going to glue down is the card topper. And one trick I've learned years ago is if you don't want to get glue over all your papers and the important things you're working on, you can get a magazine or an old notebook. And if you have a magazine or old notebook, you just turn to the first page, flip over whatever you're putting glue on. And that way, when the glue goes off the edge, it's not getting on your table and then transferring to your card and transferring to your fingers, and then it's just a mess, trust me. So if we can nip it in the bud now, that's the best idea. So I just use store brand glue sticks. Like I said, I don't have any deals with anyone, or I'm not affiliated. I'm just showing you what I use. Nothing fancy here, people. I do have some fancy things, but today we're not being too fancy. We're being just enough, right? Right. All right, so that's enough glue. Then I'm going to get this guy out of the way, get my glue out of the way, and make sure he's facing the right direction. Yes, he's facing the right direction. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue him down. There we go. And make sure you see the edge. You want to see the same edge all the way around the card. You might have to move them around a little bit. There we go. I think that's good enough right there. Smush them down all over. Make sure there's no bubbles. Sometimes people like to use these, you can use like an old credit card or something, but you can use one of these little scrapers and to kind of make sure that you don't have any little, glue bubbles anywhere. Looky, looky, looky. We're getting there. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue on, keep these right about where I need them. You could take a screenshot with your phone, but I can't. Well, I probably could, but I don't need to because I've made these before. So that way, if you have so many pieces, busy pieces moving around, you're not lost. You don't lose where you had them, but I kind of remember. So I'll leave those there, flip this over, give it a lot of glue. I hope you're enjoying this little tutorial. I love, love, love making art, and I love sharing what I make with others. And hopefully you're feeling creative and learning some new things. And next week when we see each other, I will have probably mastered how to get on the live tutorial on time. That would be great. Like I said, it is a learning process, and I am having so much fun learning how to make these videos. And I mean, it takes hours, but it's very stimulating, and I feel like I'm being challenged. And being that I was a school teacher for so many years, and then I stopped being a school teacher, I feel like, oh, thank you, Lord. I finally feel like I have a purpose, but we all have different reasons for being. And this is one of my main reasons, I think, to make stuff and make people happy. This needs a little bit more glue. Some of these papers are really like thick, like this cardstock is really thick. Some scrapbook papers are thinner. So I'm just going to push on this guy. This just happens to be from a Cricut thing, I think, or something from the Dollar Tree. I don't remember. All right, take a good look. We're off to a good start. Now, we have about 25 minutes left, and I feel confident that we can make a dynamic card in those last few minutes that we have. So we're going to talk about how to take this to the next level without going overboard, because it can get lost pretty quick. Let me see what, oh yeah, we glued him down as a general, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, like I said, don't glue him dead center. That's boring. Asymmetry is always best. Asymmetry meaning it's off center a little bit, even a little bit lower down. It gives you more room to put things. And it'll draw your eye around the paper. So if I put something here and something here, it'll continue to draw your eye around this composition. Okay. What I like to do now is I do love to add stickers, and I do love to add those cute little gold flowers that I punched out, and I do like to add lines, like doodle lines. But before I do that, before I do the stickers, I want to do the gold doodle lines, because I know that if I use gold little flowers and I have this gold, it'll balance out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go around just, I think I'll do around the outside of this. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just fun, right? And you can turn your card as you're doing your little doodles, It's a lot easier to get the lines where you want them. Just kind of like little dash marks. Like pretend like if you had a sewing machine, which you might have a sewing machine, because you can also sew these together, which someday when I'm rich and famous, I'll have a sewing machine and I'll stitch everything together. But I love doing it the way I'm doing it now. So, and then your hand gets like this muscle memory, like where to hold your pen and how wide to make your dashes. And sometimes I make a mistake and I go off the card topper and I say, you know what? There's no mistake too big that I'm not going to send someone a beautiful card that I made. Okay, so there's that. You can kind of see the similarities. Okay, so we've done card topper, check. Supporting actors, check. Main event, check. Then we've got a couple little doodles, check. Now let's look at the stickers. I have some stickers left over from a tea that I hosted it for the ladies, and they're so beautiful. And I've never really liked butterflies, and I'll tell you now, I just love butterflies. The stickers are so pretty and they're so subtle. I just love them. So we're gonna do some butterfly stickers, and then we're gonna use some of these cute little die cut, not die cut, punch, craft punch. These little craft punches. I've had these forever. Okay. And for a gift, my amazing sister-in-law gifted me this, and it has all these different shapes that you can punch out. Cool, huh? All right. How's everyone doing? Hanging in there? Very good. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get some stickers. I have a couple down here. I don't have a whole lot left over. I have a few different, let's see, a few different on each page, if that makes sense. Okay, so I got a few of those. You can also use flowers. You can also use stamp images that you cut out. I do have a handful of these left over from when the Dollar Tree used to really sell their awesome stickers. I think they're not selling them as much as they used to, but these are also really pretty. But for today's project, these are super bright. I mean, maybe if I had had some other colors, I'd use these. But for today, I'm going to stick with the butterflies, okay? And I do have a card over here. I will show you while I'm distracted yet again. I will show you a beautiful card I used to... Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Yeah, this one. I think I don't know if I showed it to you already, but this one's very similar, but it has the pink. And I love that rose flower that I put on it. I could probably go back in and add some gold hearts or flowers right there. So I'm going to leave him here so I can work on him later. All right. So what do we think? Continue with the stickers? Let's continue with the stickers. So these ones have like this creamy grayish color. I don't know what color that is. You'd think as an art teacher I would know what color that is, but it'll come to me later. I do like the blue. Let's see what the blue... You know what? The reason I like these too is that they're clear, so you can hold them over your card and kind of decide, you know, do I want it here? Do I want it there? Which angle do I want it flying at? I kind of like how there's one here and one here. I probably could have put one right here too as well. Sorry, my arm's in the way. Put one right there. I don't know, maybe the pink. Should we look at the pink? Oh, time is flying, my friends. Whoa. You know what? I'm feeling crazy. Let's go with pink. Let's do it. All right, so I want one coming up from the bottom. Which one should we choose? I know it's hard to see with all the stickers piled up. I could also do these. All right, I'm jumping in. I'm making a decision. We're going to do the orange. So pretty. So these are probably the monarchs, right? Is that what they're called? Everything I've ever known about butterflies, I just forgot. By Patricia Perrin. That's funny. Okay. Oh, these are fun. I also have some butterflies that I got, die cut butterflies. I forgot to show you. And I have some, like, I found this file folder that I had, and it had butterflies all over it. And I went ahead and, I think I'm going to do that. And I went ahead and cut out the butterflies off the file folder. That was a fun. What do you think? Should I put one more over here? Why not? I'm having fun. Let's do it. Living on the edge, people. Living on the edge. Let's do this. Seriously, now it's not going to work because I need it right now. All right, I'll try from this angle. So what kind of stickers are you guys using? Stickers or stamps or... Look at that. I'm loving it. All right, so we'll pile these guys up. All right, and I will show you, because I mentioned it, I will show you what I had sitting over here just in case. Maybe, maybe not. Whoa! Excuse me. Okay. Yeah, so these were, I've had these for like 100 years. Like these really beautiful die cuts that came from the Dollar Tree, all different colors and sizes. I pulled out the smaller ones. So these are a great option. Also, this was from a file folder, and I'd cut some of these out before to use in art. So the sky's the limit. You can take a piece of scrapbook paper, like some of my scrapbook, 12 by 12 scrapbook paper books, have sheets of paper in them that are covered in butterflies. So you can it's called fussy cutting. You can fussy cut around the butterflies or the bees or the flowers. You don't have to buy stickers. I'm telling you, we already have pretty much everything we need to make a successful dynamic greeting card. Even if you have washi tape, you probably noticed my border here. Washi tape is also a dynamic item to use, but I digress. I can talk about art all night long, and I know we've got a few minutes left. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in, we're going to decide, do we want some of these pretty little gold flowers? And I think I do. I think I want some right here. And then we'll take a vote and see if we're done. When I was preparing for the ladies' tea, the cards, I got this little container I had, and I punched out a bunch of different butterflies. Like I painted paper gold, punched out butterflies. I did some of my coffee paper book pages, punched out butterflies, scrapbook papers, an old calendar. Old calendars are great for background colors, especially if there's just like a sentiment in the middle and then like the colors all around it. You can tear those up. As long as you're not tearing up something that someone else made that's copyrighted and you're just using it for your own personal use, I believe that's okay. You can't sell it. You can't take like a Van Gogh picture and then put it on, like make a collage out of it and then sell it. I believe that is prohibited. But if it's something that you're just using in your own personal art, don't quote me on that, but I believe you'll be okay. But I can also look into that for you. Anyways, there was that little bin. And this little bin has different flowers and hearts in it that I punched out, and they're at the ready. So every now and again, it's probably a good idea to, restock up your stash. Like, oh, I'm running down on, this or that. Like if you have 10 minutes to kill and you don't know what to do, tear papers or coffee dye a paper or punch out some shapes or, any little thing that'll set you up for success in your next creative endeavor. So I think what I'm going to do, I was going to do, if I want to do hearts, let's try out some hearts. We're going to do a little fashion show here. Let's see what hearts look like. Let me get this guy out of the way. Okay, here we go. Can you see them all right? There we go. Is that upside down or right side up? I can't tell. Are you serious? It was upside down this whole time. I don't even know. Yeah, no, it was upside down. I apologize. I thought I was doing it the right way, but next time I post something upside down, guys, feel free to, call me or chat me and tell me, girl, you're upside down. Because I'm telling you, still not used. Oh, I don't know. I think I like the hearts. What do we think? I'll hold it up. What do we think of the hearts? No, that's upside down. Come on now. I can't tell. Whatever. Or do we like camera 1? Or do we like camera 2? Let's do some of these. We like dun, dun, and dunt. Oh, I don't know. I think I like the flowers better. What do we think? Flowers? Flowers or hearts? Give me your let me see if anybody's putting anything in the chats here. Let's see. Flowers or hearts? Oh, nobody's saying anything. Oh, well, that's okay. All right, back up here. There we go. All right, I'm gonna go with the flowers. Now, I have these tweezers. Again, don't know where I got them. I think someone gave me a Cricut and it was in the Cricut. And it's kind of easier to glue things down that are tiny if you have a pair of tweezers or a little pointy tool or the end of a pencil, something that you can push things around. So I'm going to push this over here and I'm going to get these guys where I need them. Let's get this out of the way. Put that there. I hope you are all having fun. I sure am. And I got this clear glue because, I've only ever really used, what do you call it? Just, the white glue, but I thought maybe I'd try something new today. So one little dot, space it out, another little dot, space it out, and another little dot. I do have tiny little bottles to put glue in, and they don't always, I don't know if you can see the dots, but the glue doesn't always come out. Like they get clogged up a lot. So I said, you know what? It's okay. Just do this. Okay. So I'm going to put him down here. I'm going to drop him and I'm going to push him down. And then I'm going to pick this guy up and do it again. So I'm all 3. 2. Cool. I'm loving this. I don't know about you. I'm loving it. And 3. Now you can tell there's a big blue bubble right there. I don't really want to leave it. So what did I do with my wipe? Oh, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to come in and I have a couple of these lying around. These nice towels, and I'm just gonna get my finger on the edge, and I'm just gonna go ahead and very lightly push down, change it to another dry spot, push down, and do that again. And so these are right where I need them. Oh, and that's just absolutely perfect. Look at that. Look at those cute little flowers. Oh, one of them might be a little crooked. There we go. You can move these for a little while they're still wet. So today, what do you think? We went from static to dynamic with just a few elements. We have basic greeting cards. We have just some scrapbook papers, old books, coffee dyed papers, stamps, stickers. And this is what I consider to be pretty dynamic. And you can go further with this if you want. Looking at this right now, I can't really think of anything else I'd want to do with it, but I am open for suggestions. So there's that one. We can compare with this one. I think I like the one we did today even better. Wow, what do you think? Camera 1, camera 2. Camera 1, camera 2. I'm just kidding. I think I like the thinking of you better. I love those orange butterflies. They're pretty bold, huh? They kind of just pop right off the front of the card. That's what we want. We want things to pop. We want little attention grabbers. And if you don't really feel like you have someone to send a card to, or you're not big into making cards, like I said, you can change the sentiment. It can be like hope, or, have faith, or dream on, or dream big. And then you can turn it into, a framework of art, such as this one. I know there's a glare on it. And there you go. You don't always have to make it be a card. So before we clean up and say our goodbyes, give me a second here. All right. I'd like to go over my list and make sure we talked about everything that I wanted to. We talked about not throwing away our scraps. Oh, yes. Let me show you real quick before we go. But before I change the subject again, if you enjoy making cards and this is something you look forward to doing on a regular basis, I like to make a bunch at once. It's so much easier, especially if you have a template. I like to do these two and then this one. You can just make so many at once. Especially if you have holiday coming up, or Mother's Day is coming up. So that might even be for those of us who have loved ones in our lives that we could celebrate with for Mother's Day. That would also be nice. Okay, so I digress. Let me grab a sip of water, and then I will show you what we can do with our scraps, which is actually what we're going to be doing next week. So, all right, here I come. I don't want to be too much of a spoiler alert, but I love doing this so much, I have to share it with you. So a couple years back, I'm just going to hold this up so I can talk to you. Cool. And the sun has set. There we go. So there's no big glare behind my head. I love having that window there, especially in the morning when I'm having my coffee and I can see out over the trees and down the street. Okay. So this is what we're going to do with our scraps. I'm just going to call them collage clusters. I need to put my glasses on because I can't see what anyone's saying. I like to call them little collage clusters, okay? Mini collage clusters. And you can use any scraps you have. They don't have to be from today. But if you have today's and the colors all kind of go together, great. I just sometimes pick out over there I have a whole bin full of scraps. Sometimes I'll just pick out a big bin, a big bag. I have a big bag right here too. This is crazy. Hold on. Sometimes I'll just stick my hand down in there and pull out a few different pieces of paper and see what I can make with it. That, to me, is just so much fun. So what I do is I get a little set of scraps and I glue them down and I add a sticker and I add a sentiment. So they start off looking like this. Just a brown paper bag, an old piece of wrapping paper, an old piece of calendar, and a sticker. That's it. And I make a pile of them. And then I go ahead and I lost the one that I wanted to show you. Oh, whatever. Then I go ahead. Oh, here it is. Sorry, guys. And you can turn it into a card. I like this one. It says spring is in the air. And those are some of the flowers stickers I just showed you and the little punched out flowers, and I used that stencil with the brown ink to kind of tie it all together, and then I used these word phrase stickers I have. Oh, that one's coming off. And I put that on there. But you can, write your own words or type out words. Anyway, so there's that. And this one I really enjoy. It says, I framed it. And every morning I see it says, today is a good day. And it's just scraps and a sticker. So paper that I normally would have tossed, I just decided to have a little fun with and see what I could create with it. And then, so this one I have this one hanging in one of my rooms. It says, this is the first one I ever made. It says, you can do anything, but not everything. I think we all need to hear that. You can do anything, but not everything. So we did a little bit today. We didn't have to do everything. We did a little thing. And so those are just a few ideas. Another thing you could do, this is really cute. If you need shapes for things to make in your art and you don't have a lot of supplies, what you can do is what I've done in the past is I've taken cookie cutters and I've traced them onto little pieces of cardboard and, made them into templates. So this is a little bird template. You could use flowers, butterflies, dogs, cats, whatever. And I like having these around because also when you have scraps, you can glue your scraps down on top of your little bird and add a word or something to him and put him on the front of a card or put him in a card. I don't know, give him a face, give him a heart, something. But I'm telling you, scraps and simple crafts, you don't need to break the bank. You don't need to pull your hair out. If you're pulling your hair out, I apologize. Call me. I'll talk you through it. It'll be okay. Yeah. And then I go ahead and I start taking my little collage piece and I say, oh, it looks really good on that paper. Next. Oh, this one looks really good on this paper. Next. And I keep cycling through. So that's what we're going to do next week. I don't want to give you the full tutorial now. But hopefully, yeah, we have like 5 minutes left. Hopefully next week, I will understand how to get on live. Right. Hold on. I remember making some old playing cards. Yes, that's a good idea. So Sharon says, I remember making some on old playing cards and I use clear shelf paper to cover them. That's a really good idea. I'd like to see that. Maybe you can like put a picture in the chat. That's a great idea. Another thing you can do, I can't tell you right now though, because it's like one of my favorite things. I can't give away all my secrets tonight. I think, I have to leave you wanting more. So you'll come back next week and we'll make our mini collage clusters. So let's see. Let's make sure we talked about everything. So yes, all the scrap bins in my room. Oh, if you don't know what to do about coffee dyed papers and you want to make coffee dyed papers, don't sweat it. You can brew really strong coffee. And then you can just, what I like to do is, I like to take one of these jars. You can get store brand generic instant coffee. And this one's empty. So then I use this to mix my coffee and water in. And then I put my paper in like a big old serving pan from like a buffet. And I use a paintbrush and I brush it. You can also use a spray bottle and give it like some splatters. You can sit your mug down on top of it and give it that really cool, like, mug stamp image. Yeah, so my screen moved a little. Oh, it's because I was just wiggling my whole body. Sorry, I bumped the table. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so you can do that with coffee. You can use tea. There's so many ways to dye papers, but I only know coffee and tea. I don't know how to do avocado and mustard, and who would want mustard paper anyways? Probably smells funny. But yeah, so if you're looking around your art room and you think, what can I use this for? I haven't used this before. Think of how you can use it. Some things I might have talked about today, especially old calendar pages, old, like the ones that you write on in like your little journal ones, or like the big, 12 by 12 ones. I have a ton of those. Yeah, my screen, someone else said my screen moved. Got it, sweetie. Yeah, like I said, you can use those. I don't know. If you think of things that I haven't mentioned, feel free to tell me in the chats. As you can tell in my room, I have so many things. This side is all paper. This side is all paint. It all has, a place. It's labeled places where it lives. So I'm pretty well stocked up on everything here. Yeah, so coffee dyed papers, book pages. I'm trying to think. Anything else I forgot to tell you? Yeah, Yeah, first of all, I just wanna say thanks for joining me because I've been looking forward to this for so long, and I know it's something that I'm going to be doing regularly, so it's only gonna get better, and I'm only gonna learn more, each day. So I appreciate your encouragement. I appreciate your, prayers. I appreciate, just wanting to spend time, uh, learning something new, and hopefully, I'll learn something new and I can teach you something new as I learn it. The sky's the limit. I don't ever think I'm ever gonna run out of anything to teach you, so hopefully you'll come back next week. I really think you'll like learning about the collage clusters. After that, I'll probably get into some journaling. I love making handmade journals. I have a baskets over there just full of handmade journals, like the little tiny, scrap paper ones, which are just so sweet. It would, like, brighten up anyone's day. Oh, you can even put a collage cluster on one of these, see? Bam. Yeah, journals are fun. Not the best at watercolors, but I do watercolors in some projects. I do enjoy painting. I enjoy making paintings inspired by other famous artists. That's how the masters people used to learn, they copied the masters. I'm not saying to copy, but, the more you understand how someone else paints, the more you learn how to paint, the better you paint. So keep creating, and I look forward to seeing you next week. If you think of something that you would wanna learn about, I'm always open for suggestions. I read all the comments at the end of the tutorial, and, prayerfully this week, I'll be able to put up some more posts besides just the live tutorial. That's my goal. My goal is to do some shorts, other tutorials as I figure out how to navigate this whole thing. So with that, I think I wrote on here about all the scraps that I have, and I said, "No scrap left behind." I think that's kinda clever. Yeah, I typed out all my